I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to be able to speak fluently, to be able to speak smoothly, not to anticipate, not to switch words around, not to dumb down your speech, and to have that physical freedom of speaking? Have you ever thought about it? And have you ever told yourself, I don't think that is attainable? Because you're struggling and you're physically tired from not being able to express yourself or to speak clearly. And if you are going through that, I want to tell you that you can achieve all of what I've been talking about, where you will be able to speak fluently, where you may not need to anticipate, and you can speak smoothly. And I'm here to share my journey with you to smooth speaking. Hello, my name is Ismail. I'm a doctor, I'm a physician, and a gynecologist and a fetal specialist. And I'm here to tell you that you can achieve the physical freedom of speech, where you will not need to anticipate, you don't need to get stuck, and that you can be smooth for most of the time that you speak. However, there are a few prerequisites. The first prerequisite to attaining smooth speech and fluent speech is that you must have the desire, you must have the need, the intention to be able to want to achieve it. That's your first prerequisite. The second prerequisite is that you need a system. And once you've identified the system, you need to follow it through. Now, I have good news for you. Because if you fulfill the first prerequisite, which is, I want to speak clearly, I want to speak fluently, and I want to have that physical freedom of speech, there is a system that can help you. And that system is the Pro90d system by Michael Williams. It's a fantastic system that if you follow it, as Michael tells you to do it, you are certainly going to achieve smooth speech and clear speech and fluent speech, undoubtedly. 6 months ago, I was not very confident in my speech. I would be terrified if somebody called me to give an impromptu speech or to a press briefing or to speak in a presentation. I would be stressed, my heart rate would go up, but all of that has changed now. I'm pretty confident in my ability to be able to speak clearly and to say whatever I want to say without anticipating and without switching words. And that is just following the system as Michael has set out. So remember the two prerequisites. The first prerequisite is the desire to be wanting to speak clearly, and the second prerequisite is to follow through with the system. Now there's something else I want to discuss. I want you to reflect back and think about times when you probably decided to learn a skill, whatever skill that was, where one day you went for a seminar, you went to train for a certain type of skill, and you realized you knew that for 1 or 2 days, and on the 5th day when you tried to do that skill, you didn't have it. And you wonder, but I knew it 3 days ago, but suddenly I don't know how to do it now. Well, there's an explanation for that. There's a neuroscientific explanation for that. So what happens is that when you initially want to learn a skill. You create chemical changes in your brain. And transitionally and temporarily, you are able to perform that skill. Okay. But if you don't keep on doing it, those chemical changes recede or they diminish, and then you are not able to do the skill. So, in order for you to be able to have long-term memory or to retain it long-term, it's not enough for you to induce chemical changes in the brain. You have to induce structural changes in the brain, because the brain is neuroplastic. It's neuroplastic. It can alter shape. You have neural pathways that change. Okay? And when you induce structural changes in your brain, when the neural pathways change into a certain direction, the direction that you want, you then make that skill more permanent. That is what you want to achieve. So if we can translate that information into the Pro90d system and look firstly at what Michael says about it. The Pro90d system is based on a strong scientific basis of neuroscience. Now, when I initially engaged with the Pro90d system, the main thing that attracted me to the system was its strong scientific basis. Well, I was at an advantage because I'm a physician and I've done neuroscience and I understand neuroscience, and this all made sense to me very, very quickly. And that gave me a lot of confidence that the system was going to work. And because of that confidence, I began to see results very quickly. So that is also very important, that if you choose the system, you must choose a system that has got a strong science or scientific basis, because you know then it's going to work. So if we can extrapolate that to the Pro90d system, what happens is integral to the system, okay, is the fact that you got to use the system and follow it through. And I wanted to introduce an acronym for you, and that's called FIT. Focus, immersion, and transformation. Michael has already alluded to this. So firstly, you got to focus on the system. You have to focus on the system. You got to observe it. Your brain needs to be drained with, needs to be soaked with all this information. It's very important because we also learn by observation. You then need to immerse yourself in the system. Immersion means you practice what you've observed in your everyday work. You integrate the Pro90d system in your everyday work, because we're speaking for most of our weekday. We are talking, we're communicating. So if you immerse yourself, you take the Pro90d system and you integrate it into your everyday speaking, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a speech, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a presentation, it doesn't really matter. You have to immerse yourself. And once you immerse yourself, and you keep on doing this for a period of time, you will then end with the T, which is the transformation. The transformation is the most important part, because the aim of the Pro90d system is to transform your speaking style. Remember, your original speaking style was disfluent, and you don't want to use your old speaking style. But instead of trying to fight the old, you should rather concentrate on building the new and learn a new speaking style. Yes, the old speaking style is still going to be there, and it's dominant at the moment because you've been speaking like that for most of your life. But you can override it by introducing this new speaking style. And the more you use the new speaking style, right, you will eventually override the old speaking style, and your new speaking style will now become your dominant way of speaking. So remember, it's very, very important to immerse yourself in the Pro90d system. If you want to get results, there are unfortunately no shortcuts. There is no way you're going to speak fluently or clearly after a 3-day course or a 3-week course. It doesn't work. You've got to have a system, and you do with the Pro90d system. It's scientifically based. It tells you exactly how to go about doing it. And if you immerse yourself and you do it long enough, you will induce structural changes in your brain, and not only chemical changes, because you want this to be a long-term project. You want to speak clearly for long-term, not for short-term, where you're inconsistent, where you're speaking well on one day and not well on the other day. That is going to be frustrating to you. So remember, in summary, what I'm going to tell you now are the 2 prerequisites. First, the desire and the need and the intense need that you want to speak well. Then follow the system. Then get a system and follow the system. And you have the system. And once you have the system, you apply FIT, F-I-T. Focus, immersion, and transformation. And I promise you, if you do that, you will be speaking well in a period of time. Now just remember that skills take time to develop. Anything from 18 days to 266 days. The more complex the skill that you want to learn, the longer it takes for you to develop it. But it doesn't matter whether it takes 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. And speaking is a complex skill. So you've got to give yourself at least 7 to 8 months before you induce structural changes in your brain for it to be there long term and for you to speak well long term. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and we'll see you again. Thank you very much.